Hey, so figured to come on here. Man, oof. I've been saying it's every day there's something out there, right? But man, talk about some big time things that have come to light over the last couple of days. And I've said this before, and I'll bring it up again. How we started the just this year alone. Those of us, saw the writing on the wall and realized the times that we were in. It's pretty easy at the beginning of the year to track things going on in the world that had significance as far as showing how we're in end times, so forth and so on, right? The initial birth pains. They were spread out enough that it wasn't too hard to keep track of. Well, as time went on, what happened every few weeks to happen every other week to happen every week to happen to every few days, and now we're at the point where it's happening every day. And I think because based on just the 24 hours alone, we soon, if we haven't already, we soon will be entering where it not just happen, things aren't happening just every day, but happening by the hour or every few hours. Hey, Brother Jack. So what are some of the things that have, really caught my eye recently? So, all right, we know the West Coast has been getting hammered big time by droughts, and which is causing famines, due to the drought, as well as grasshoppers, as well as the possibility of farmers being paid to destroy crops. That's just a whole nother enchilada. But anyways, they've been getting, the West Coast and kind of central U.S. has been hammered by lack of rain. But now all of a sudden they're starting to get rain. However, it's not just regular little rainfalls, it's monstrous heavy rain. Well, when you're going through a drought, the ground gets hard, then you got downpour rain, creates flash flooding. So we've got that we're dealing with. So now anything that may have been growing, if it wasn't destroyed by drought or crops, now you're looking at possibly getting destroyed by flash floods. So, it's just judgment on America continues, is pretty much what I see. As well as Brother Pete sent me an article, and I sent Brother Jack as well, a video where a guy points out, I think it was the Israeli Times was keeping track of it, and one of the ones that kind of announced it. I guess in Turkey, they've been doing an archaeological dig into the Temple of Zeus, or what some refer to as Satan's throne. Of course, there's been a lot of Satan's thrones throughout history, but anyways, I digress. I won't get off into that. Anyways, they've been doing this archaeological, dig and unearthing Zeus's temple in Turkey. Well, it so happened that on the 30th of July, they unearthed the gate to that temple. And as they unearthed the gate to that temple, a total of about 90, one report says 93, another one says 98. Either regards, 90 plus fires broke out across Turkey around the same time that they were unearthing that gate. What is the significance of that? I have no idea. However, I do not think it is a coincidence that as they were unearthing the gate to this temple, 98 fires simultaneously broke out across Turkey. I'm not even going to conjecture as far as what it means, other than it's just one more thing in which God is trying to open the eyes of those who are sleeping, the Christians that are sleeping, and open the eyes of the non-believers. Amazingly, it didn't even make a blip on the news, but at the same time, it's not that surprising, being that they can barely keep up with what's happening in our own country, let alone what's going on worldwide. So I thought that was definitely significant and something to bring up. Is that definitely sounds something of biblical proportions, so to speak. Definitely not something you see every day. And then, I've always said, I believe either due to an event we're going to see, all Christians are going to know, and when we see that event, we're going to know it's time, or the Holy Spirit is somehow going to help us know it's time. If an event like 98 fires starting all around the same time in one country as a gate is being unearthed, if that is not a significant enough event to trigger the rapture, then I can't imagine the astronomical event that we might witness that's going to signal it's time for the rapture. So as these things happen and things intensify and get crazier and crazier, the more I wonder, man, what is there an event that's going to signal the rapture? And if so, how astronomical is that thing going to be? So I am definitely looking forward to that answer, and I don't think we're going to have to wait too long in order to get it. The other developments, because we know Israel is God's prophetic timepiece. Sorry, I gotta get a drink. We know that Israel is God's prophetic timepiece, and it so happened that yesterday, apparently, Iranian-backed proxy used suicide drones to attack is either an oil tanker or a cargo ship owned by an Israeli billionaire, and attacked it. After the attack, Israel vowed retaliation, and on top of that, the US and UK came out publicly and signaled support of Israel, basically green lighting them, saying, yeah, go ahead and do what you got to do, we got your back. That was yesterday. Today, as it's happening right now, it started a little while ago, and as far as I know, it's still ongoing. 4 vessels in the Gulf of Oman, so that Gulf off of Iran, mix of oil tankers and possibly some cargo ships. 4 of them have become disabled, unable to maneuver. They're kind of just floating in the water. Initial suspect is that they hit Iranian naval mines. On top of that, there is a report that there's possibly one of them have been hijacked, and if so, it's suspected they're hijacked by an Iranian proxy. Now, Iran likes to, as Amir said, Iran likes to use these proxies because then they can do plausible deniability. However, everybody in the twin sister in the world knows that that's just a smokescreen, and they don't do anything without the backing of Iran. So, in less than 24 hours, they've used suicide drones to attack an Israeli vessel and have disabled 4 other vessels that aren't like one's a Singapore flag, one's an India flag. They're flying under different flags, not necessarily Israel, but being that they are flying under other nations' flags, that is going to piss a lot of the world off. And so there's a lot of look into the situation right now and trying to figure out what happened, who's responsible, so forth and so on. I suspected that Israel's vow of retaliation was not going to be minimum, being that it doesn't seem like they've done that yet. Now they've added 4 more ships. With the US and UK backing, I imagine it's going to escalate very quickly. Unless God intervenes and calms somebody down, there's a potential that this could get morning this happened. By the evening, oh my word, this happened. Now the birth pangs, is very evident that the birth pangs are due September 11th, not because of what September 11th happened in 2001, but because of some other stuff, and then other people saying October. I understand all those things, and I too will be like them during high watch times. If it seems significant enough, I too will be watching during high watch times. However, I say every day is a high watch time. Just look at the craziness of the world. Look at everything that's been going on. I mean, I listed off how many things, and that's just a drop in the bucket compared to the stuff that's going on all over. All right, I think Greece. Kind of saw a report today. Okay, so Turkey's up in flames. Greece is now up in flames. You've got parts of the U.S. up in flames. You've got, I think Israel has some fires. You got fires all over the world, and places that aren't on fire seem to be drowning. There's flooding in Europe now. There's flooding in parts of the U.S. as well as drought. Like I said in my last video, I think, or the video before, there's heavy snowfall in Brazil, which is unusual, at least that amount. I mean, and again, those are just a drop in the bucket of all the stuff that's going on. So we really are hitting some extraordinary times, and it's why I say, I understand the high watch times, but for me, every day is a high watch time. I've got my ears out every day, listening every day. And I encourage, for those that are watching and see like me, and don't, go about your daily life. I mean, I haven't stopped working. I continue to work. I continue to do things around the house. I continue to spend time with friends and family. I continue living. But I am definitely making sure a part of me is listening for that trumpet, because one of these days it is going to sound. And every day that passes, we get, well, I mean, it sounds cliche, but when you think we're on I mean, when you look at the times and you do the math and realize if Jesus is going to fulfill the fall feasts within the time before Israel turns 80, that means certain things have to happen by and start by this fall, right? And we're still in the summer. We're in the summer months, I think, until September. Like I think Brother Chad said, I saw, God is, a God of, last minute. He'll be willing to wait and give everybody a break all the way up until the last minute. But with certain things that are happening, certain mandates, I'm not going to go into too much of those because I don't want to get censored or whatever. But with certain mandates coming out and being talked about that they are coming out, as well as there's a growing list of companies that are themselves making it mandatory for their employees if they want to keep their job, as well as another list that's growing of companies saying if you want to use our services or come inside and use our services or whatever, you must show proof. When all this stuff was coming in, I've been saying for a while, we're going to get to a point to where it is going to be mandatory, and it is going to be mandatory to show it. No, they can't, because that's a violation of rights, and our rights have been, slowly stripped away, all this year. And again, I'm not going to go too much detail on that, but sure enough, here we are, and what I said eventually was going to happen is being talked about and starting to happen. And all this is done in the name of, hey, we're just trying to keep everybody safe and yada yada yada, which is a bunch of bull. But with everything seeming to just accelerate and just be happening even faster and faster and faster, I tell you, that's why I say we're at a time to where, as I think I've said before, when it gets too hard to look out anymore and keep track of looking out and what's happening while looking out, and that's when it's time to look up. And we are at that time, And I like to refer back to, Matthew 24:44, in which Jesus said, "In an hour you do not expect, that is when I will return." So for me, maybe today being, is for as an example. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but today may be a day that few are like, no, it's not. Well, it would be very much like God and Jesus to say, yeah, actually, yeah, it is. It's in 2 hours, and 2 hours from now we're out of here. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying it's what could happen, just because that is the time that we are in. So, but while we are still here, I still encourage you to occupy and redeem the time. Continue sharing the gospel. Continue talking to others as you can. For non-believers, share the gospel. For friends and family, and make sure you're saying, you're letting them know, hey, listen, this is what's going on. Try sounding the alarm. There's Christians that are willing to hear it, and other Christians that are not. All we can do is sound the alarm, let God do the work. So that is my encouragement. We are getting closer and closer. And I just wanted to, those were things that popped off today, and I had to share them. So I hope everyone's doing good. And if we are still here, I will see you on the next video.